What's going on, y'all? It's your man Furious Stylez, and welcome to the very first episode of a brand new show that I'm doing called My Retro Report Card, where I impersonate legendary Bay Area rapper E40. Alright, my bad, y'all. I ain't impersonating legendary Bay Area rapper E40. Y'all get lied to enough on the internet. Now, when I started my video game collection like 10 years ago, I knew there were going to be consoles or games that I just never got a chance to play, let alone maybe never even heard of. And to be fair, I am an avid gamer, and despite being an avid gamer for pretty much most of my life, there are a couple of legendary games and series that I just never really got into like that until I started collecting. I mean, we're talking Zelda, Mega Man, Final Fantasy, Resident Evil. Alright, that last one was probably because I was a punk when I was a kid. But I knew I wanted to explore the classics I missed out on and maybe even find some new gems. Even if that meant doing a little bit of time traveling. Oh no, this here is Brandon, baby. Hey, the classics never go out of style. Oh yeah! Some of these games I've heard of in passing, and some of these are classics that I just never made it around to. And then there's other cases like today's game that, well, just made it past me and I never touched. Till today. For today's episode, we're gonna be turning back the clock to the year 2012. Man, I didn't even wear this in 2012. Hey yo, is this gonna be a thing? And we're breaking out the Xbox 360. One of the only times in history that Microsoft got one over on Sony. I did pick the original Xbox over the PS2, but you know, I worked that out in therapy, I think. And we'll be playing the hack and slash action adventure Lollipop Chainsaw from Mad Genius, Goichi Suda51, Suda, and DC's Kevin Feige. Now, I was trying to figure out how this title got past me 13 years ago. Maybe it was the girly mixed with goth aesthetic, and maybe I just figured the game wasn't really for me. I wish I could tell you, because at the time, I was on Warriors Orochi 3. I guess that makes sense, because at the time I liked Dynasty Warriors, and then I liked Samurai Warriors. And then you just put the two together, and they made something. Now, as an avid collector, I also wanted to break down my cost point. I know this won't be as interesting to some folks as others, but for my fellow collectors, and those even remotely interested, maybe they can find some entertainment in it. For I'm here to entertain the masses. So I was able to find a complete copy of the game. Complete being game, original case, and manual on eBay for a grand total of $37.54. Not too shabby, but according to pricecharting.com, a complete version of this game is actually valued at $37.98, giving me a profit of 44 cents. Hey, a win's a win. I think I'll celebrate by making a collect call. Hey, people still doing that in 2012? Anyways, I'll be reviewing this game as our forefathers did, on a 5-point grading scale, looking at graphics, sound, control, fun factor, and challenge. As it ever was.
As it ever was.
What the f? So in Lollipop Chainsaw, you're in control of 18-year-old Juliet Starling, head of the San Romero cheerleading squad, and trained zombie hunter. Sidebar, who trains in hunting zombies? It ain't like training for vampires or werewolves. I mean, watch a few episodes of Walking Dead, take another look at Dawn of the Dead, and you'd probably be alright in a zombie outbreak. And trained zombie hunter, who finds her high school and later her town ravaged by a zombie outbreak caused by an outcast classmate of hers. Armed with zest, pep, an impressive collection of assorted flavored lollipops, a bedazzled chainsaw, and the sentient severed head of her boyfriend Nick. More on that later. You're tasked with saving innocent bystanders, defeating hordes of zombies along with the 5 summoned dark purveyors, and restoring the town back to some form of semblance. Now, based on that insane premise alone, I mean, this has got to be an all-time great. But how does it hold up after 12 years, 8 months, 10, 13 years? Does it age like a fine wine? Or does it spoil like milk behind a radiator? Let's pop it in and find out. Alright, so we start off this adventure in Juliet's room. I swear to God, this game is for perverts. We're introduced to a lot of your allies in the form of the Starling family and Juliet's boyfriend, Nick, who provides a great deal of support mowing down zombies, as well as a lot of hilarious back and forth commentary with Juliet.
Who's that?
Morikawa Sensei. He's my sensei.
A sensei? Like a teacher?
I didn't know you spoke Japanese, Nick.
Well,
Wasegoi, watashi mo Nihiko o hanashimasu.
I can't speak Japanese, Juliet. I just know that one word.
You're like a kitten that doesn't speak Japanese.
Yeah, okay.
And you're already brought into the pseudo-retro Americana aesthetic, including the creepy 40s style EC Comics inspired menus and loading screens. And then you're thrusted right into the action, running over a horde of zombies on a bike, I guess, before getting into a pretty well done tutorial walkthrough that gives you a feel of what you're going to be dealing with for a few hours. Now, what caught my eye before anything else was noticing that strange cel-shaded No More Heroes Killer 7 style that Suda51 brings, but it was way more refined. I sound like a real reviewer, that's crazy. Now, for this game to be released 7 years into the Xbox 360's lifespan, it is graphically pleasing. I mean, the aesthetic works for it. It mixes the unicorn rainbow vomit of a Lisa Frankfolder with the dingy rusting of a season 4 episode of The Walking Dead pretty well. But truth be told, this isn't a graphical benchmark of the 360, like say Skyrim from a year earlier or GTA 5 that comes out 2 years later, near the end of the 360's run. The cutscenes are pretty cool, well framed, and thought out with plenty of anime-inspired action sequences and witty banter between the lot of protagonists.
I'm like the only girl with a decapitated head for a boyfriend.
Close enough. If I had one glaring graphical gripe, say that 5 times fast. Glaring graphical gripe, glaring graphical gripe, glaring graphical gripe, glaring graphical gripe, I hit 4. It's the amputations in the cutscenes. They just look kinda lazy and unappealing. I mean, it ain't the worst thing ever or a game-breaking issue, but it's just one of the few graphical missteps I was able to catch. The level designs are pretty fantastic as your zombie killing takes you from San Romero High School to the country and eventually to the city. Now let's get into the sound of the game. So first things first, the soundtrack is amazing. I mean, ain't no hip hop or nothing, but you know. Now there are a bunch of licensed songs within the soundtrack that I definitely popped for when I first heard it. Is that Hey Mickey? Oh, that's awesome. Is that Cherry Bomb? Oh shit, this is awesome. God, I was hoping they would work this song in somehow, and I'm kind of happy they did. And then there's the brilliant idea of having the levels reflected by the Dark Purveyor style of music. Oh yeah, so all the Dark Purveyors I told you about earlier are all based on a style of rock. So you're lopping off heads in the high school level to a punk rock soundtrack courtesy of Punk Purveyor Zed. The stadium level is dominated by a heavy Viking metal medley thanks to the creatively named Viking. You're harvesting zombies on the farm level to a psychedelic set list from undead hippie Mariska. You get a somewhat decent funk soundtrack on the arcade level. Yes, there is an arcade level, from zombified Impossible Parliament Funkadelic reject Josie. And then finally, a classic rock and roll set from the strongest of the Dark Purveyors, Lewis Legend. Dope name. Now, even though the soundtrack is already strong, what really pushes the sound to a whole new level is the chaotic and hilarious voice acting, especially between voice acting royalty Tara Strong, who voices Juliet and pretty much every other cartoon character in existence, and Michael Rosenbaum, who honestly needs to do more stuff with Strong if he hasn't already. They're a great duo. The banter had me laughing throughout the entire game and made progressing a joy and actively made me want to know what they were going to say next.
After we kill all the zombies, let's come back to this farm and ride the cows.
You're gonna ride a cow.
Don't be racist against cows, Nick.
The only issue I had sound-wise was an incident in level 3 when I'm having to escort little sister Rosalind, who's driving a bus through the farmland and gets stuck. At one part, the bus motor cuts through everything, including Juliet and Nick's banter, as well as a phone call. Oh, speaking of the phone calls, Juliet gets phone calls periodically throughout the levels. And while some of these are helpful breaks in the action, especially the ones from her dad Gideon and older sister Cordelia about how the game works, the others from hyperactive little sister Rosalind and absent-minded mom aren't.
Juliet, Mom, can you believe Cordelia wants to buy a motorcycle? Oh, there is no way. Those things are death traps. Bad enough your dad has one, and the same goes for you.
Not exactly sure what the useless phone calls are actually for, but they outnumber the useful ones, for better, or in this review's case, for worse. The controls for the most part are pretty tight, even though I will admit there were a couple of parts, especially in the later levels, where it didn't seem as if my combos were registering as well as it did earlier. I also didn't use the radar as much as I probably should have. It's convenient, but as you get into your groove of zombie slaying, it's so easy to forget that it's even there. The only other negative worth bringing up when it comes to controls was the aiming system with one of the weapons you end up getting in the middle of level 2. That's the Chainsaw Blaster.
Chainsaw Blaster!
I just said, whatever. It's a cool weapon that finally adds ballistics to your arsenal, and the mechanic is pretty dope, especially in certain parts of the farm level, which sees you blowing rocks to pebbles as you have to escort Rosalind through some rocky terrain or taking out some of these weird flying, foul-flinging zombies or whatever. Definitely annoying, but props for originality. But the real problem with this was the aiming system being a bit on the chaotic side. I mean, the auto-targeting system locks on pretty decent, but then there's times where it just switches to manual without any rhyme or reason. But let's look at where Lollipop Chainsaw really gets it in. The fun factor. Lollipop Chainsaw is a flawed, but absolutely fun as hell game. From the banter, to the voice acting, to the mechanics, to the music, and most of all, the combat. Lollipop Chainsaw is fun from the bottom up. The flow of the game is on point, and honestly, if I had to find any negatives in the game, it's with some of the boss fights. While the boss fights were on a whole well designed and challenging enough, some just blended way better. Like, you start with a punk ass Zed, which does a great job of giving you a heads up of what these boss fights are gonna look like. You go 3 rounds, having to take him down in different puzzle-esque a la Mike Tyson punch-out ways, and Nick's observations help in a big way. But then, in the arcade level, you face off against Dark Lord of the Funk, Josie, who only goes 2 rounds, and probably the most imbalanced of all the fights you encounter. You're given the toughest and most oblivious first round in the game, but the easiest boss round in the game in the second round. And then that's it. You blow up the mothership and you're asking yourself, was that it? But let me go ahead and level the playing field a bit, because Josie does give you easily one of the most interesting levels, where you end up having to take down Josie's minions of freaks, geeks, freaky geeks, and geeky freaks in original ways. I guess Josie's a pretty good programmer, because he has you sucked up into classic games throughout the level, and you find yourself in bastardized versions of Pac-Man, Breakout, and somehow in some way, elevator action. Y'all the real MVPs for that one. But there was definitely one part of the level that gave me the most trouble throughout the entire game. I don't know what the hell this gondola minigame was supposed to be, but it was the most annoying part of the game, and oddly enough, the only part I died multiple times at. I think honestly, because it's the most unforgiving of the minigames. I mean, the baseball minigame was aggravating for show, but at least they gave you a bit of leeway. The basketball game at the high school level gets hectic with the legless cheerleaders and basketball playing zombies doing their best Dikembe Mutombo impersonation. But unless you're unaware of what's going on, it's pretty easy to get through. But the gondola level is a one-hit quitter, so it doesn't matter if you got your eyes on your health or how many lollipops you got in stock. One mistake and you pushing up daisies. Like, I swear this minigame is that GTA San Andreas mission. You know the one.
All we had to do was follow the damn train, CJ.
Yeah, that's that PTSD feel right there. But overall, the game tasks you with the development of your own skills, techniques, and methods for dropping zombies on your own, as any good game should. So where does that leave Lollipop Chainsaw? Was this a decent buy, or do I have a brand new Frisbee? Is this something that I'm popping in on a rainy day, or do I have a brand new dust magnet for my gaming shelf? So before I hit it with that judgment, let me go ahead and hit you off with a brief fact that I found out about the game while researching. So sit your ass down and learn yourself something. So in an interview with Collider, James Gunn admitted that this game was the biggest inspiration he had for the character of Harley Quinn in the 2021 movie The Suicide Squad, which he wrote and directed. Now that's out of the way, how does this game measure up? While the game doesn't have the most mind-blowing graphics you've ever seen on the 360, I don't think it actually needed it. The character designs are great, and the level designs are very thought out and varied. It does an amazing job of blending in that brightly colored girly pop aesthetic with that dingy rustic appeal akin to most zombie movies and games. Besides a couple of nitpicks like the weird cutscene gore and a few graphical errors, I'm gonna go ahead and give the graphics a respectable 4.0.
Yeah, boy!
Now the sound. From the voice acting to the soundtrack to hell, even the damn chainsaw sounds. The sound is amazing. I don't even mind hearing certain conversations repeated again. The blending could use some work, but all in all, the sound shines here. I got to give it a 4.5.
Hell yeah.
The controls are pretty solid for the most part, but as the game progresses, it almost seems like the controls become less reactive. I originally thought it was my controller that was going out on me, but when I did another playthrough, the controls just started getting less crisp almost at the same spot of my original playthrough. Not to mention, that chainsaw blaster aim could probably be a whole lot better. Shut up! Overall, it's still a good time, and the controls do the job, even if it's just not the strongest part of the game. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 3.5.
Oh, yeah.
If you're into an action-adventure game with extremely varied gameplay, something new on damn near every level, characters you have to laugh at and root for, a mess load of anime and movie-inspired pop culture references, and the hot chick at your high school swinging a chainsaw against endless hordes of zombies, then the answer is yes. Even though the game is pretty short, there's minimum slowdown in the action. I don't want to look soft on my first episode, cause you know your boy Fury's a straight gangster. But I gotta give the fun factor the benefit of the doubt here. I'm giving it a 5.0.
Sensational.
While I did play on easy, this was in no way light work, especially if you want the challenge of a flawless run. Finding all the hidden lollipops, grinding to get all the moves, unlocking all of Juliet's costumes, even saving the hostages on a few levels took a bit of strategy. It all takes some work, but it's nothing that's gonna make you break your 360 controller and rage quit. It's teetering in the middle, but I'll go ahead and say the learning curve is pretty intermediate. Well, that's it, y'all. That's the first episode of my brand new review show. And I honestly think we found a real gem that all my collectors need to go ahead and get up on, especially for the price. They want to bump that new Nas Life is Good album that comes out tomorrow. And watch some Legends of Korra. What? You thought I was going to say Walking Dead? Nah, I'm good on that. I mean, it's like watching Django and then feeling like you gotta watch Lincoln right after. If you know of any other games that I might need to take another look at, throw me a message on my Insta or Twitter, because it's 2012, get it? At Furious Styles, one word. And remember to smash that subscribe button if you like my style. I mean, not like this. I mean, my pants so damn tight, I can't even feel my legs. But thanks for watching.